Mr. Winston, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we want to talk to you about your leadership journey. How is it that you came to this position? You have a non-educator pathway.
So my leadership journey in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools began about 15 years ago at Vance High School. I began as an English teacher. I also taught journalism and creative writing. And I actually absolutely loved my time at Vance High School. From Vance High School, I moved to our central office, working in our communications department. And from there, I began working for our chief operating officer, Hugh Hadaball, who later became interim superintendent. From there, I became chief of staff and worked in that capacity for 2 superintendents. So I've had many different experiences as part of my leadership journey that I believe have helped prepare me for this role today.
So you worked in the classroom. You have, of course, writing experience, background as a journalist and a communicator. How is it that some of those skills are helping you with this position?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important skill sets that all of us need, no matter what field you're in, is the ability to listen and decipher information. I also think that effective communication is important because you have to talk with people, you have to get a message out to them, you have to get them to understand your perspective. So I think those skill sets are extremely important in this role.
What would you say to some of those people who might look at you and say, well, you have that non-educator pathway. How are you really ready for a position that requires such demanding leadership skills?
Absolutely. So I think that's a valid question. And what I would say to that particular question is I bring a unique perspective, a different perspective. I bring that perspective of that non-educator, so I don't necessarily see things through that particular lens all the time. I'm also a parent, which I think is another hugely important perspective. Being an administrator, being someone who's active in the community, and talking to partners and faith leaders and just other parents has helped broaden my overall perspective.
Every superintendent has a particular style of leadership. What do you see as your leadership style?
My leadership style is one of a collaborator. I like to bring people to the table. I like to hear from different perspectives, people of different backgrounds, because I believe when you do that, you have the ingredients for a better outcome.
Why do you think the board selected you for this job at this particular time?
I think the board selected me for this particular job at this particular time because of a variety of skills that I bring to the position. One, as a communicator, someone who listens, someone who problem solves, someone who works with families and members of our community, as someone who has worked at different levels in the school district. I think all of those varied experiences has helped prepare me for this role today.
How much does trust play into this position, being appointed this position?
Trust is extremely important because if you don't have your word, you don't have anything else. And so one of the things that I always pledge to do is to be honest and be truthful. Because I think those are skill sets that we try to teach our children. I certainly know my 2 children that I have, I teach them those skills along with my wife, and we emphasize the importance of trust.
You mentioned having children in CMS. What is it that you would like to say to parents who are concerned about this new leadership position and this change in the district to make them a little bit more comfortable about the very first day of school?
What I really want to do is to reassure our families, our students, that CMS continues to move forward uninterrupted, and we are preparing for the first day of school on August 26th.
And what's going to matter the most? What is it that is working in CMS? What are some of those key elements in CMS that you will continue to move forward?
We have a great strategic plan, what matters most. And as part of that strategic plan, we continue to place a great emphasis on equity. So the work around equity is critically important to our school district, and we will continue that work. We're also focusing on school safety. which is a very high priority for us. Along with school safety, social, emotional well-being of all students is a very important area of focus for us as well.
Leadership turnover in CMS has been what some people may call often. How is it that you keep Team CMS really fired up and keep up their morale when there's been constant change?
That's a great question. And I think the first way to address that is to really be visible and to visit different employee sites and visit schools so that your hardworking employees, our hardworking employees, see their leader. And so I think they have to be able to share their concerns, share the things that they think are going well, opportunities for growth. And so that's one of the things that I am hoping to do more of, is to visit schools and to visit some of our support sites where our employees are. What I have control over is what's happening now. And so my goal is to do the best job I can for as long as I can and let everyone know that we're here to serve your children, to let teachers and support staff know we're here to support you. That's why we exist. That's why the role of the superintendent, of a cabinet, of a senior leadership team, we all exist to serve our school-based staff and our students, more importantly.
Mr. Winston, principals and teachers are the CMS team members that most parents and most students see all the time, some of them every day. How can you ensure parents and students that they will have a principal, they will have a teacher in their classroom on the first day of school?
Our team is working hard day and night to make sure that we have a quality, strong principal in every school, that we have a teacher in every classroom, and not just a teacher, but a very effective, impactful teacher. And so we're working hard every day to make sure that that happens. And, you know, I think it's important to note when we talk about relationships, many parents have relationships with their child's principal. They have relationships with their child's teacher. And so we want to make sure that those people are in place because we think that helps give parents confidence when those things occur.
Let's talk about the first day of school. Is CMS prepared yet for the very first day of school?
Our team is working extremely hard towards making sure that we have a successful opening of schools. We're making sure that all schools are clean, that the entrances to our schools are welcoming and inviting. Also want to talk about just some of the vacancies that we have. We have fewer than 30 teacher vacancies, which is actually the lowest that we've had in quite a while. And so we're working to fill those vacancies. We have less than 30 bus driver vacancies. And we're expecting to have a bus driver on every bus so that when students walk up to that big yellow school bus, they'll be greeted with a smile. And, you know, that provides comfort to our students as they begin this school year.
Okay. Mr. Winston, you're now leading a district that has a minority enrollment of students. What role does being an African-American male bring to this position, or does it play a role in this position at all?
Being an African-American male, I think, is important to me because it helps inform the perspective that I bring. But one thing that I want to emphasize is that I am the acting superintendent for all of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, not just for one segment of students or one segment of the community. I am the acting superintendent for our entire school district, the 6 small towns that surround Charlotte. And so I want to make sure that that is very clear. But certainly I can't deny the fact that I'm an African-American male. I'm proud of my heritage. And again, I think that informs my decision along with my other varied experiences. I do feel the weight, but it's not overbearing. With any important job, there will be weight. I think you just have to stay focused on the work that lies ahead. I don't think you can stop and pause. You just have to maintain the momentum that we've already developed. There's a sense of urgency in this work, and we've got to make sure that we continue to get great results and improve upon the results that we're getting. I think when you tell people that you're going to do something, I think you have to follow through and keep your word. And so I think those are two critical factors to maintaining and strengthening trust.
What's your message to students, to staff, as well as the community as you take on this new role? What do you want them to remember?
What I want our students, our staff, and members of our community to know is that we're working hard every day to serve you. We're preparing for a great opening of schools. We can't wait for our teachers to walk back on campuses. We can't wait to greet our children. And for members of our community, my message to you is we want you to be engaged. We want you to be involved in our schools. It makes us ultimately so much better when we have your expertise, when we have your support, and we invite you to join us.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to returning.